Meghan Markle has decided to use the 5th birthday of her own daughter to lash out, making her first public statement about the very clear hypocrisy of releasing new images like that, which we just saw on Instagram, while claiming to be the hero for protecting children from social media.
You begin to see how totally unoriginal Meghan Markle is.
Meghan Markle may have just made her most controversial move of 2026. She released a sharp public statement defending herself, but in the process, she appeared to bring fresh attention to a conversation that had stayed in the background for years. Here's what happened. At around 1 a.m. in Los Angeles, which also happened to be 9 a.m. in London, Meghan shared birthday photos of Lilibet on Instagram. The caption read, "Our dream girl. Happy 5th birthday, Lily." On the surface, it looked like a simple family moment, just a mother posting a birthday tribute to her daughter. But there was one detail that quickly got people talking. Only a few days earlier, Meghan had been in Geneva, Switzerland, speaking before global health officials about the risks social media can pose to children and families. During her speech, she looked directly at the audience and said, "Children are no longer just participants in digital spaces, they are too often the product." That quote quickly caught attention. But only days later, she shared photos of her 5-year-old daughter with an audience of roughly 4.6 million Instagram followers, and that sparked a wave of debate online. The reaction was fast and intense. As criticism started spreading, Meghan did something many observers say rarely does she address the situation through a public response.
Children are no longer just participants in digital spaces. They are too often the product, because when they tick the box and they sign the terms and conditions, they don't realize that they may actually be signing away their life, because the small print didn't spell out that it was going to prey upon their vulnerabilities and drive them to content they weren't looking for, to keep them engaged for as long as possible.
But Meghan Markle, are you seriously saying, despite that rhetoric, that your 5-year-old daughter is giving you permission to share her image for money?
According to a statement released through Newsweek by her spokesperson, there is a distinction between sharing moments from her life and exposing her children to public scrutiny. That explanation immediately became a major talking point. Critics questioned where that line is drawn when photos are being viewed, discussed, saved, and reshared across social media platforms by millions of people. For many observers, the statement raised more questions than it answered. Then another voice entered the conversation. Nick Eade, a well-known UK culture commentator who was once friends with Meghan before the two reportedly lost contact, decided to speak publicly about the controversy, adding even more attention to the story. Nick Eade took his criticism a step further during his comments to Newsweek. He pointed out that, a day before Meghan's Geneva speech, she had shared a photo of herself with Lily where the Armani label on her outfit was clearly visible. His exact words were, "We know she's a hypocrite, so there's no two ways about it." That remark quickly spread across headlines and social media discussions. The criticism wasn't limited to commentators either. Even The Independent, a publication that has often been viewed as sympathetic toward Meghan in the past, published a column titled, "I've Had It," with the hypocrisy of social media moms like Meghan. That headline alone got plenty of people talking. For some observers, that was a sign the conversation had moved beyond her usual critics and into a much wider public debate. Questions about consistency, public image, and social media use suddenly became the center of the story, drawing attention from all sides. Then came another round of online speculation. Some social media users started comparing the birthday photos with Easter pictures that had been shared months earlier. They pointed to differences in appearance and perspective, arguing that the images didn't seem completely consistent. Others pushed back, noting that lighting, camera angles, timing, and photo quality can dramatically change how people look in pictures. Another detail also grabbed attention. In an earlier promotional image connected to Meghan's lifestyle brand, some online commentators claimed that parts of the photo looked unusual, particularly around the balloon strings and nearby objects. Those observations led to fresh debates across social media, with people questioning whether the image had been heavily edited or simply appeared distorted because of photography effects.
It always just rubs me the wrong way when I see her daughter. She just doesn't look well kept, and her hair just looks all over the place. Child, do something with her hair. I mean, you, Meghan, definitely do something with your hair. You've never shown a curl or a wave in your hair. You get it bone straight. But this child's hair is always just so raggedy looking. I'm sorry. That says a lot about the mother.
People also discussed the overall styling shown in the photos. Some noticed that Lily appeared dressed more casually, while Meghan and Harry seemed to be wearing warmer clothing. That contrast sparked conversation online, although photos alone rarely provide the full context behind a moment. Then, the Daily Mail highlighted another detail that quickly became a talking point. The publication reported that a gold bangle, visible on Lily's wrist, looked similar to Meghan's well-known Cartier Love bracelet, a piece often associated with luxury fashion. Because the birthday post appeared around the same time as content promoting the As Ever brand, critics and supporters alike began debating whether the timing was purely personal or part of a broader public image strategy. What made the debate even more intense was the discussion around privacy and child safety online. Some online safety advocates and experts have argued that partially obscuring a child's face, whether through emojis, distant angles, or photos taken from behind, does not necessarily eliminate privacy concerns. In some cases, they say it can generate even more public curiosity and discussion about the child involved. That perspective added another layer to the criticism. Commentators questioned whether sharing limited or partially concealed images truly protects children when those photos are still being viewed and discussed by large audiences across social media platforms. Supporters, meanwhile, argued that parents should have the right to share family moments while maintaining reasonable boundaries. Because Meghan has frequently spoken about online safety, the issue quickly became a focal point of the broader conversation. Critics framed the posts as part of a carefully managed public image strategy, while others saw them as ordinary family content. Either way, the controversy set the stage for an even larger question that has continued to follow Meghan Markle for years and remains a frequent topic of public discussion. And every time new family photos are released, the public debate seems to flare up again. Every statement, every interview, and every social media post involving the children brings renewed attention to one question that has circulated online for years. Was Meghan Markle ever actually pregnant? It's important to note that there is no verified evidence supporting that claim. However, the rumor has remained one of the most persistent topics in royal watcher circles, with discussions continuing across social media, blogs, and online forums around the world.
Twitter exploded with a video shared that shows the Duchess of Sussex is squatting. I don't know exactly at which month she was during this engagement, but that belly is at least 6 months. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments of this video. I want to point out the most important feature of this kind of a squat. She is keeping her knees together, and when I say together, I mean glued to each other. Obviously, her thighs will be pressed against each other as well. This clarification is important because I got a lot of replies saying that this is absolutely possible, but the knees together part is the one that I find a bit of a stretch.
Despite repeated debate, the speculation has never fully disappeared. Supporters of the theory often point to what they see as unusual circumstances surrounding the birth announcements. Critics of the rumor, on the other hand, argue that personal medical information is private and that unusual choices do not automatically mean something improper occurred. Still, the discussion continues to resurface whenever the topic of Meghan's family returns to the spotlight. One argument frequently raised by commentators has nothing to do with photos of baby bumps or viral internet claims. Instead, they focus on public appearances. Meghan was a highly visible public figure long before joining the royal family, and many people expected her to follow certain royal traditions that had become iconic over the decades. One of the most famous royal moments is the hospital step photo, where a royal mother introduces her newborn to the public shortly after birth. Princess Diana did it, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, later did the same with her children. those images became some of the most recognizable photographs in modern royal history. Because of that tradition, some observers were surprised when Meghan and Harry chose a different approach. There was no hospital step appearance, no large public photo call outside a medical facility, and far fewer details released than some royal watchers had expected. That decision immediately sparked questions, and years later it remains a major talking point among those who continue to debate the story. Another point that has fueled years of online debate involves the official birth announcements. Royal watchers often note that when Catherine, Princess of Wales, gave birth, the public notices included signatures from attending medical professionals as part of the palace's process at the time. Meghan and Harry's announcement was handled differently, and that difference has continued to generate discussion among critics and supporters alike. For some observers, the lack of certain details felt unusual compared with previous royal births. Others argue that different circumstances, changing protocols, and a desire for greater privacy could help explain why the approach was not identical. Even years later, people continue to disagree about what those differences actually mean. Supporters of various theories have also pointed to public photos and video clips from Meghan's pregnancy appearances. They have analyzed everything from her clothing choices to how she moved during events, often claiming certain moments looked unusual. However, medical experts have frequently cautioned that pregnancy experiences vary widely from person to person, and appearances in photos or short video clips are not reliable evidence of anything on their own. The discussion has also extended to viral footage, including a maternity-themed dancing video that received enormous attention online. Some viewers saw it as playful and lighthearted, while others questioned whether it matched their expectations of late-stage pregnancy. Those contrasting reactions helped keep the conversation alive, turning ordinary clips and photos into subjects of intense public scrutiny that are still debated today. Then, the discussion moved into an area that many commentators considered far more significant: official records and legal documents. One of the most frequently cited examples involves Archie's birth certificate and the changes that were later made to it. When the document was first issued, the mother's name reportedly appeared as Rachel Meghan, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, née Markle.
Prior to the amendment, the baby, Archie, was registered as the son born of the body of Rachel Meghan, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, née Markle. That was a comprehensive description of Meghan Markle. That's on the original birth certificate.
Supporters of various theories often point to that wording because it included her given names, royal title, and maiden name, creating a detailed identification on the record. Later, the certificate was amended, and the names Rachel Meghan were removed, leaving Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, as the listed designation. That change immediately attracted attention and sparked years of speculation online, with many people asking why the update had been made in the first place. However, it's important to note that amendments to official documents can occur for a variety of administrative or procedural reasons. While critics have argued that any change naturally raises questions, others have pointed out that document updates do not automatically indicate wrongdoing or support broader claims being made online. Even so, the amendment became one of the most heavily discussed pieces of the story. For many royal observers, it remains a topic of interest because the change itself was highly unusual in their view, leading to ongoing debate about its purpose and significance years after the fact. For critics, that amendment became the central issue. Their argument is straightforward. If the original information was accurate, why was it later changed? That question has continued to fuel discussion across royal forums, social media, and news coverage for years. Those commentators point out that the updated certificate no longer included the names Rachel Meghan and instead referred to Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. They argue that a personal name identifies a specific individual, while a title is a formal designation associated with a role or status. Because of that distinction, they believe the change deserves closer examination. However, Others note that document revisions can occur for administrative, stylistic, or protocol-related reasons, and do not necessarily imply that any factual information about the birth itself was incorrect. As a result, the significance of the amendment remains a matter of debate rather than an established conclusion. The controversy grew even larger because different explanations emerged regarding how the change came about. Meghan's representatives and palace sources have offered differing accounts over the years about the reasoning behind the amendment. That disagreement has left many observers with unanswered questions, ensuring that the topic continues to generate discussion long after the original change was made. Critics often compare Archie's birth certificate to those of other modern royal children. They point out that Princess Diana's name appeared on her children's records, and that Catherine, Princess of Wales, was also identified by name on official birth documents. Because of those comparisons, Meghan's amended certificate has remained a frequent topic of discussion among royal watchers and commentators. Another moment that continues to be revisited involves Prince Harry's remarks shortly after Archie's birth was announced. During a media appearance, Harry spoke about the experience of becoming a father and made comments that some viewers later interpreted as unusual. In particular, online discussions focused on a reference that some believed sounded inconsistent with the publicly announced timeline. Supporters of that interpretation argue the comment raises questions, while others see it as nothing more than a harmless verbal mix-up during an emotional and highly public moment. New parents, especially under intense media attention, can easily misspeak or phrase things awkwardly.
Her children are not there just for the particular events, like their birthday one time. And Meghan can't even make the conscious decision to try to treat Archie and Lily equally. You can see the disparity. Last year, Lily got like 6 posts on Instagram. I think it was technically 3, but 4 pictures, 1 video. And Archie got 1 picture of him looking forlornly at a sunset. That's not something I'm imagining, that I'm literally watching it in real time. And I think most people notice how she treats the children differently.
The reason the clip still gets attention is that it is often grouped together with other debated topics, including the birth certificate amendment and questions about royal privacy decisions. For critics, those issues form part of a larger narrative. For supporters, they are separate events that have been connected through years of speculation rather than verified evidence. Either way, the discussion continues to generate strong reactions and public interest. Another topic that continues to spark debate is Meghan's discussion of Archie's royal title during the Oprah interview. Meghan raised concerns about Archie not being given the title of prince, and those comments became one of the most talked about moments of the broadcast. Critics argue that, under the royal rules in place at the time of Archie's birth, he was not automatically entitled to that title and was correctly styled as Master Archie Mountbatten Windsor. Because of that, some commentators have questioned why the issue was highlighted so prominently during the interview. Supporters, however, maintain that the discussion involved broader concerns about treatment, status, and how decisions were communicated within the royal family. Another point that has attracted attention involves the way Meghan shares photos of her children publicly. Some online observers have claimed there appears to be a difference in how Archie and Lily are featured on social media and in public posts. Those perceptions have fueled ongoing conversations among followers who closely analyze every family update. For example, critics pointed to a birthday post for Archie that featured a distant photo taken from behind as he stood near the ocean. They argued that the image felt understated compared to other family content. Others disagreed, saying it was simply a private family moment and that reading deeper meaning into a single photograph is highly subjective. Even so, the comparison became another widely discussed element of the broader debate surrounding Meghan's public image and family life. For Lily's birthday, Meghan shared polished, high-quality photos featuring both parents smiling alongside her, surrounded by colorful decorations and flowers. The post generated major attention online, especially because it appeared with a celebratory tone, and was soon followed by content from As Ever that referred to Lily as our founder's daughter. That timing quickly became a talking point among critics, supporters alike. Some commentators have also compared how Archie and Lily appear in public-facing content. They point out that Lily has occasionally been mentioned in connection with family projects and public posts, while Archie has generally remained more out of the spotlight. Those observations have led some people to speculate about differences in visibility, although others argue that drawing conclusions from a limited number of posts can be misleading. The discussion grew even more intense because Meghan once spoke about the possibility of building a business venture with Lily in the future. Critics noted that she has not made similar public comments about Archie. Supporters, however, argue that parents often speak differently about each child and that isolated remarks do not necessarily reflect favoritism. The conversation also intersects with Prince Harry's well-known comments about growing up as the younger sibling within the royal family. Because Harry has spoken extensively about feeling overshadowed at times, some observers have questioned whether public comparisons between Archie and Lily are fair or productive. At the same time, people have noticed Harry making several solo appearances in recent weeks. He has been photographed attending events, meeting friends, and spending time away from Meghan on multiple occasions. While that has fueled fresh speculation online, there is no public evidence that these appearances indicate anything beyond a busy schedule and separate commitments. Then, another report added even more fuel to the ongoing royal drama. Dan Wakeford, the former editor of People and Us Weekly, shared claims that immediately grabbed attention because of his long history covering the royal family and the Sussexes. According to reports citing sources close to Prince Harry, communication between Harry and Prince William remains extremely limited. One claim that stood out was the suggestion that Harry no longer has regular contact with his brother and that the relationship remains deeply strained. Reports have frequently pointed to the Queen's funeral in 2022 as one of the last major occasions where the brothers were seen together publicly for an extended period. The story gained even more attention because some sources allegedly described Harry as watching William's continued public role from a distance. William and Catherine have remained highly visible through royal engagements, public appearances, and charitable work, leading to constant comparisons between the two brothers in the media. Another widely discussed claim came from royal commentator Kinsey Schofield, who has spoken about reports from sources connected to royal circles. According to those accounts, Harry has been reflecting on what he wants his future to look like and considering the direction of his life moving forward. Those reports sparked fresh speculation about his personal priorities, relationships, and long-term plans. However, it's important to note that much of this discussion is based on unnamed sources and media reporting rather than direct public statements from Harry himself. Even so, the claims generated significant attention because they touched on one of the biggest unanswered questions surrounding the royal family: whether any meaningful reconciliation between the brothers is still possible, and what Harry ultimately wants from the next chapter of his life. Reports suggest that the children have become one of the most discussed topics surrounding Harry and Meghan's public image. According to various commentators and royal insiders, there may be different views on how much Archie and Lily should be featured in public-facing content. Harry has often spoken about the challenges of growing up under intense media attention, which is why discussions about privacy and family exposure continue to attract so much interest. Meanwhile, Meghan's recent response was intended to address criticism, but for many observers, it had the opposite effect. Instead of ending the conversation, it reignited debates that have been circulating for years. Critics continue to point to questions surrounding public appearances, official records, media strategy, and the couple's handling of private family matters. Supporters, of course, argue that many of those claims are based on speculation rather than proven facts. What is clear is that the story remains one of the most talked about royal controversies online, and the public fascination shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others who are following this story. And most importantly, leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts on everything that's happened. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.